Hello, third grade through fifth grade friends. Mrs. Bannister here again, coming to you from my basement. Yes, we are just managing through this distance learning model, aren't we? There's probably some struggles and there's also probably some successes. So I appreciate you all checking in with me again on this glorious Monday. Today's lesson, we are focusing on relationships. I love this lesson for you all because as third through fifth graders, you are beginning to see the world around you. So when you were younger, you saw the world only or mostly from your perspective. There's variability within that, meaning there are some children who see a lot more of other people's perspective, and then are others that don't. They only see things from, or they mostly see things from their perspective, and that's okay. But now, as you develop as third, fourth, and fifth graders, in your development, meaning as you grow, it's kind of out of your control, you are beginning to see the world around you and understand the world around you. So today's lesson is going to be focused on how you can improve and monitor, I should say, and improve relationships that you have. For today, we're going to focus mostly on your family, because you're with them so much right now, and your friends who you are hopefully are connecting with emotionally, but just not physically, right? We're not spending time physically being close to people right now, but we can connect with them emotionally by texting, chatting, writing letters, calling them on the phone, sending them videos, things like that. So I want you to think of relationships as this pyramid. There are 3 stages in any relationship, and you may be in one stage or another in different relationships. So let me explain. The first stage of a relationship is the establish stage. I want you to think about your first day of school. When you are at school for the first day, you are in a lot of establish. You're spending a lot of time here in this establish stage. So in order for us to establish a relationship, I need you to think about what are some of the things that you do to show that you want to establish a relationship with somebody. Some examples are to have an open demeanor, have an open face. One way to do that is to smile. Okay? I'll show you some pictures right now of what I shared with the kindergarten through second grade lesson. You can see the difference between my 2 demeanors and see which one looks like, wow, Miss Bannister is really open for establishing a relationship right now. And the other one kind of sends a message of, not so sure she's open to a relationship right now. Okay, so thinking about that. Another way to establish a relationship is considering being flexible with your interests. You may meet somebody or get to know somebody that has some interests that are different than yours. But rather than saying, no, I don't like that, could you practice being flexible? Like, well, that's not a game I've played in the past, but I kind of like this person. I enjoy spending time with them. Maybe I'll give that game a try. The second stage in a relationship is what I like to call maintain. Now, once we have a friendship or a relationship with somebody established, we have to work at maintaining that relationship. I like to consider maintaining a friendship a little bit like a tennis match. I want you to think about what tennis looks like, okay? Do you have that image in your mind? I have an image in my mind that's like 2 players opposite one another with a net in the middle, and they're hitting the ball back and forth to one another with the racket. A friendship especially maintaining a friendship, can resemble a tennis match in that you give and you take. You give and you take. Can you see the tennis match there? The tennis match is a good analogy in my mind also because it's balanced, right? One person isn't constantly hitting. The other person receives that hit. And the first player then hits again and receive, hit, receive. Friendship is like that. There has to be a balance in what you do and what your friend does, or what you do and what your sibling does, or what you do or what you want and what your parents want, or whoever you live with wants. So maintaining a friendship takes balance. It takes giving sometimes and taking sometimes. If you feel like you're constantly taking from someone, constantly doing what you want, that's not balanced. You may be in the maintenance portion of a relationship, but maybe your friend doesn't feel like they're getting what they want. So think about that. Or if you feel like you're constantly giving to someone and your interests aren't being honored, that's also out of balance. So how could you assert yourself and say, I'd like to do what I want to do today. Please join me. Maintenance takes balance. It also takes communication and honesty. So, like, if it feels out of balance, you have to be honest with your friend. You have to be honest with your whoever it is you live with and say, I'd like to do this today. Honesty is an interesting thing in friendship too, though. I like to call that, this is when it gets sticky. Because when we're honest, sometimes there's sticky points in friendship, which means there might be a rupture. It's still important to be honest. You can be kind and be honest. And sometimes with that honesty, a rupture may occur, and then we need to move to restore. There are usually ruptures in friendships and relationships in general. That doesn't mean the world is going to end. It just means there's been a breakdown in the relationship. That's okay. What we do about it is what counts. Sometimes we need to go back to regulating ourselves. So if we have like an argument with a friend, we need to get back to our center, whether that's, taking a break, talking to a trusted adult, and then coming to restore. One technique that helps with restore is pretty simple, and it's to say you're sorry. It's simple but hard. Some of us struggle with saying that we're sorry. Even if it's unintentional, we sometimes hurt our friends' feelings. We sometimes hurt our brothers, our sisters, or whoever we live with's feelings. And we have a responsibility to say that we're sorry. One other way to restore a relationship is to take a break. Okay? Sometimes just giving ourselves a little distance is a great way of restoring tension or rupture in a relationship. That is especially relevant right now. I want you to think about the amount of time you've spent with the people in your home. It's a lot. And sometimes that time can create some tension. It can create a rupture or a break in a relationship. So having time away, whether that's going to your room or going into your a private, quiet space, maybe even if you're older, going for a walk in your neighborhood, just to take a break can help restore that tension. Here's the thing. You're usually in one of the, I don't want to say always, but you kind of almost are always in one step in these stages in a relationship. So think about that. Think about, where am I an important relationship in your life right now? If you are in maintain, do you see how maintain is bigger? That's good. Maintaining a relationship takes a lot of energy, right? Especially if you're striking or if you're going for balance. Okay, you get a little bit of what you want, and your friend or family member gets a little bit of what they want or need. Okay, if you're like, oh man, this is reminding me, I have a friend that we are in the restore portion of this triangle. So I want you to think about that. If that's where you're at right now, what is something you could do to restore that relationship? You have a responsibility to do that, right? For practicing relationship skills, we have to make an effort to restore that. And if there's someone that you're interested in, it's kind of hard right now because we're so distant from one another, but if there's someone that you're interested in that you haven't like heard from, or you played with a little bit at school, but you're like, I wonder what they're up to, you could make an effort to try and establish a relationship. Now, what does that look like when we're away from school? That could look like initiating a chat with that person. That could be asking the adult in your house to initiate, some conversations with that person so that you can connect with that person. We have to be really creative right now. I want you to think about where you land in friendships and relationships with people. This also applies to students and teachers, right? Teachers on the first day are all here establishing relationships with students, and you are establishing relationships with your teacher. And then most of us spend lots of energy and time maintaining friendships, right? Keeping that tennis match going. Give and take, give and take. And then when there's a rupture, and there's going to be ruptures, that's not the end of the world, right? When we're being honest, it gets sticky. We restore our relationships in a respectful and productive way. I did scan this into the lesson plan, not because I want you to not because I want you to do anything with it, but I thought it's a nice visual. You can see that I tried to be, this is just me sketching it, but I tried to be intentional with the space that I gave each of the portions of the pyramid so that you can see visually how much each of those stages could take up in your energy. So this week, your homework is, you're not turning anything in, you're thinking about a relationship that you have, and an important one. So that might be with a parent, it might be with a friend, it could even be with a sibling. Where are you on the pyramid? Or where do you need to be? I know that as tension, like as we're in the home so much, we might find ourselves in like a rupture, kind of restorative loop with people in the home. So if you feel like, man, I have really got to restore, thinking about it now, a relationship with my sibling or my parent or, my neighbor, I don't know. Spend some time thinking about that. Or I'm in a maintenance loop with a friend and things are going really, really well. I'd like to focus in on the give and take, give and take, give and take this week, and ensure that that's balanced. Or moving down to the establish, where we all start our friendships. Is there someone that you're interested in, or someone that you'd like to perhaps create a new relationship with, a new friendship? So I invite you to do that this week. I hope that you can see how this connects to when we are back in our wonderful buildings, being learners in our school. But for now, through distance learning, I hope that you're able to take some time to practice some of these skills. Okay, have a wonderful week, friends. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.